Hello, my beautiful craftmates. I'm so excited to be with you all today. Today we are making these earthing markers using stones and some images that I found online, and I just printed them off on printer paper and essentially glued them down. So without further ado, let's get started with the finding of the images. So I use a website called FreePick.com, FREEPIK.com, for a lot of my crafting where I need to have like a downloadable image. So I use it so often you can see it just pops up right on my drop down menu, and I'm just gonna go right to there, and my computer is a little slow so it's gonna take me a little bit. As you can see, there's my Pinterest. I get a lot of witchy things because I'm a witch, so don't mind that. Essentially, FreePick is a free graphic resource for everyone that's free. You can use it for commercial uses and personal uses. So this is what the website looks like. It's really simple. I'm just going to sign in here real quick because I'm here all the time. You can use this for free. You get up to five free downloads every day, and you really the world is your oyster when it comes to this website. You'll also see there's some images that have like a little gold crown in the corner. That means it's a premium resource and that you have to have the subscription in order to utilize it. The subscription does mean that you don't have to attribute the website or the artist, and you get access to those premium resources. So it's a really unique website, and not a lot of people utilize it. And I just wanted to show you guys like what you can do. I'm searching for crystals here for my earthing markers. They have so many different images from animals to scenery that really you do what you want. Like if you don't want to do crystals, that's totally fine. You can do flowers or animals or other things that just kind of come to you. Um, this is a really unique website, and I really enjoy it. And this is why I'm showing this to you, because I even use FreePick for crafting some of my cards and having images. Like I think I have like sunflower cards that I've made for people that I've used from FreePick. So it doesn't have to be, like stones or whatever. I've used these for FreePick graphics for backgrounds for my videos. Really, I mean, it's a really great resource that everyone can use. So, I'm gonna take the images or the image that I found. I'm gonna put the attribution in the thing down below in this video. And I'm going to print this image just with normal copy paper in a couple different sizes on a couple different sheets. And let's move on to all of the other materials that you'll need for this project. The materials that you'll need are firstly stones for your stone markers. I got these large stones just off of my property. You can kind of find them anywhere. If you go like near a riverbed or anywhere, you can find large rocks anywhere. I have 2 sheets of the full-size printed image from freepick.com, and then I have 2 sheets of the image that I've scaled down, just so I have like small, medium, and large crystals that I can work with. I have my paint jar here. I have matte finish Mod Podge and matte finish acrylic sealer. You can use any type of kind of glue. I have a paintbrush and scissors, and I'm going to start with this kind of gray rock in the middle here. And I'm going to hand off my Mod Podge container to my husband to have him open it up for me, because I work with a lot of glitter and I don't like dipping my brushes directly into the jar and contaminate it. So that's why I use the paint jar, because I'll separate the Mod Podge in the jar and then dip my paintbrush in there, so that if I get any fibers in it, it's not a really big deal. Now the green towel I have, I made a mess, and that's totally okay. This green towel is like a really old towel that I use specifically for painting, so I'm not worried about making a mess on it or anything. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my crystals, and I'm going to cut them out and place them on my stone just to kind of see where I want them. Now, I have one big crystal image that I use, and then I used 2 medium and 2 small images as well. You can see here, I'm just cutting them out and then carefully putting them on the stone just as a rough draft of where I want to put the images and adjusting them to how I think it would look the best on this particular stone. Now, the reason I'm using printer paper is because it has a white background and the stone, if I used any other kind of paper, it would be translucent. So maybe you just keep that in mind when doing your own, that, the background and what your paper will do when it's wet will affect your final project. Now I'm just going to kind of adjust where I want all of my little crystals essentially into a rough draft, and then assemble them how I want them, how it looks best to me, and then the next step is to glue it down. You can use any glue, like a spray adhesive, as long as it's kind of liquidy in nature, because it'll help seal everything down. So once I have everything moved and placed where I want it, I'm just kind of glue it down how I feel like it. You can glue the back of the paper and then glue it down. You can put the glue just on the stone and work with that. It doesn't really matter as long as it works for you. So now that I have all of my pieces down where I like them, how I want it arranged, I'm going to glue all the pieces down. So I'm going to start with the 2 smaller pieces right here. I'm going to put the glue on the stone just because of how small they are, and then kind of press the image into the stone, into the Mod Podge into the stone, so there's a nice clean adhesion. And I'm going to do that with the images that are in the background first, and then moving into the next layer, essentially, and then moving into the top layer, gluing everything down. After I glue each individual image down, I am going to go back around just the edges of each cut image and use the Mod Podge and my finger to really cleanly secure and adhere the edges of each image down, just to make sure there's no lifting in terms of the cut images popping up, because there's not a really good clean adhesion. Now, once that's all done, I'm going to put a really thin coat of the Mod Podge over the top of the whole image, not just the edges, but the whole image, because it'll be a barrier between the paper and the acrylic sealer, because the acrylic sealer will actually seep into the paper, and I like the white background and I like the nice clean image. So I'm going to do that whole step and whole thing, and then I'm going to set the stone aside to dry. Then I'm just going to do the same thing with the other stones that I have, cutting out the crystals that I have, gluing everything down, using my finger to really kind of press down the edges, seal down the edges, and once everything is where I want it, where I like it, then going over the whole image with the Mod Podge to kind of create that protective barrier between the paper and the acrylic sealer. Now, you don't have to use an acrylic sealer, you can just use Mod Podge. But Mod Podge is water-based, so if it gets wet, there's a chance that it'll ruin your image if it's moist for too long. So that's why I like to use the acrylic sealer. The one that I have is, it's the same brand, Arlene's, I believe. Yeah, Arlene's. It's the brand that makes tacky glue, and I used the matte Mod Podge and the matte acrylic sealer just because then I'm not mixing, gloss and matte. The acrylic sealer that I use is rated for indoor and outdoor use. So it's, and it was really cheap. I believe I got it at Walmart for like $5. So it was really cheap. There was a lot of product in there. And we had a storm recently, and I went outside to check on the stones, and they were fine. They were a little dusty from like all the wind that came through and the dirt that got on them from the rain, splashing on them. But I literally just took my hand and like wiped off the dust, and it was totally fine. So I really actually would recommend that acrylic sealer, but you can kind of use anything that you want to seal it. Like, you don't have to use the products that I use. Just whatever works for you. and how what your abilities are and what materials that you have. Now that I have my stones finished, and it's all done, it's all the way that I like, I'm going to move my acrylic sealer and my stones outside. You do want to be aware that you don't breathe in those fumes. And as you can see, I'm going to start spraying down all of my stones, and then I leave them out to dry, maybe for like an hour or two, and then I will take them out into my garden to mark all the spots that I want to mark. So here is the finished product. As you can see, I have all 4 finished stones here. I have one stone with just 1 crystal, another smaller one with 3 of the smaller ones, and then the 2 bigger ones with crystal clusters that I've made. I will also show you pictures of them, the stones, in my garden and what it kind of looks like in my garden. Now keep in mind that these images are not edited, but I did want to show you this one. This is the dustiest stone that I had after my little rainstorm. And it was really simple to just kind of brush away that dust. Now, the next one, or the next image, at least, is a stone that I put right next to my chives. By my house, it's like in between winter and spring, so everything is kind of popping up. So my garden looks a little kind of dusty and gross, but that's just because of the time of when I took these pictures. Now this stone, it's just the smaller stone that I did. Here's a close-up of what that looks like. I really like the kind of smaller crystals and the juxtaposition between like the stone behind it, and I kind of think it's ironic that I have like images of crystals on a rock. I don't know, I just think it's funny. Now this last stone, this is the last stone that I made today in this video, and this is what it looks like outside next to some rosemary. And you can see this one's a little dusty too, but it was super easy to just wipe off with my hand. And I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you guys learned something, and I can't wait to see what you guys create yourselves. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I hope you all have a great day.